Boys, the first one is in front of you. With your blindfolds on, you have A and B. Both have been prepared identically. Just one ingredient was a fresh version and one was frozen.
Friend. Hello. So I'm guessing this is A.
I think I have A, right?
I have B.
Correct.
So we need to identify the ingredient that we think is either fresh or frozen.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for being around, Edward.
So Mike is chomping down on A. Jamie's going in for a big old mouthful. Excellent. What are you eating? What are you tasting?
Delicious, garlicky, buttery pasta. Maybe oily, olive oily.
Spaghetti.
Specifically spaghetti. Definitely garlicky. Try B. See if you can identify which of those ingredients
Here's B.
is fresh and or frozen. And we've given you the blindfold because in some instances there might be a visual difference. Probably not a huge one in this particular case, but will be consistent throughout.
That has a very different garlic flavour.
It does, we're talking about garlic. Fresh versus frozen garlic.
We are talking about garlic. One of those
Okay.
makes use of fresh garlic. One of those makes use of chopped frozen garlic.
So I would say that A has a really powerful garlic taste.
I agree, almost like it's just been added at the end and the residual heat has taken the edge off the rawness.
So you're saying more of a sort of a punch on the garlic in
Yeah,
A.
definitely more of a fire. The olive oil is exceptional in both of them. What I would say is that I prefer dish B because it tastes of garlic, it's a little bit more subtle, and it allows you to taste the other ingredients in the dish. So you can really taste the olive oil more so in dish B, in my opinion, whereas A tastes of really delicious pastery garlic.
B is balanced.
B feels more balanced and more enjoyable to me.
What we want you to do in your boards is try to find the frozen. It's a bit like Pick the Premium, but it alliterates on an F. Find the frozen. Decide which one you think uses frozen garlic versus the fresh.
So are we supposed to be writing this down blindfolded?
You can take your blindfold off now. Now, we've very deliberately prepared both identically, so times, temperatures, weights, measures, and yet you've acknowledged that one is quite different to the other. Which do you think is frozen? Find the frozen, reveal your answer in 3, 2, 1.
B.
B.
You both think B is frozen.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Because I imagine that as you cook down frozen garlic, it's retained a lot of moisture, and that as the water and moisture comes out, you start to cook out some of that fiery flavour that you would get from fresh.
I have used preserved garlic. You know, like the lazy garlic in a jar, which is stored in like a vinegar.
I don't like
type
that.
thing. No, we have that, and I use it semi-regularly, and I do not enjoy it as much as I enjoy normal garlic. And I feel like that B gave me that similar vibe.
Well, I can reveal that you both said B, and you are both correct.
Yes. Okay, good.
Cool.
We know what we're doing here.
Do know what we're doing.
Now, bearing in mind, there are lots of different brands of frozen garlic. This particular one is Avocado's chopped frozen garlic. You buy it in 100 gram sort of pouches. And we have compared that to the same retailer's fresh garlic bulb. And then we weighed the fresh garlic bulb to make sure we were comparing weight for weight, albeit weight for weight did also include the peel of the garlic and obviously that middle stem.
Yeah.
But interestingly, the frozen garlic is more than 2.5 times more expensive.
The frozen is?
What? It doesn't taste of anything.
That's not normally the way round this works.
No.
Essentially, you're buying convenience. Somebody has gone to the effort of peeling and chopping the garlic. Now, if you are preparing a dish that involves lots of garlic, or maybe every day a few cloves, there is a huge level of convenience to just being able to whack a teaspoon of frozen garlic in. It very quickly thaws out and you're on with your dish.
I don't think it's worth it.
I don't think that's worth it because it's adding the subtle notes of garlic without adding the flavour of garlic.
I think what's interesting is 9 times out of 10, I prefer that roasted, mellow garlic flavour as opposed to the fiery option.
Yeah.
But if you buy fresh garlic, it's going to deteriorate over time. If you buy it and use it when it's really young and fresh, great. If you leave it in your store cup and you come back to the other half a bulb in a week or 2 later, and it does have a long shelf life, it's going to change over time. Whereas the frozen garlic will always have consistency. So you will always know how much to use. You may want more of it if you want a stronger garlic flavor, but at least you always know. Fresh garlic is cheaper and you're trying to save money. There's no reason why you can't buy it in bulk. If you're willing to put in the effort and time, you can prep it all, throw it in a food processor, blend it all up and freeze it into ice cube trays, into little pellets. A great way of avoiding waste, and it's cheaper. Now you know that it's more than 2.5 times the price. And bearing in mind there are other brands that may be cheaper or more expensive, but broadly speaking, is the convenience, consistency and lack of wastage of the frozen garlic working for you?
For me, the volume in which I use garlic and the time it takes to chop it up, I don't think you're saving quite a lot of time for me in the volumes in which I cook garlic.
Sack it off. I'm happy with
Fiery
fresh.
for me.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You've heard opinions number 1. Blindfolds on. Let's bring in number 2. Okay, boys, the blindfolds are back on. Dish number 2, tuck in.
Oh no, I put my finger in it, sorry.
What do you mean you put your finger in it?
Have you got A?
I've put my finger
I
in it.
gave
now.
Okay.
you both a fork. I literally put a fork in your
I
hand.
know, but we need to know where the plate is positioned.
And also, if he's put his finger in it, I want to put my finger in it.
Exactly, now fingers are in,
Yep.
we're ready to eat.
Exactly.
Why is it so chewy
It's really chewy.
and cold?
Try B.
I can't. I'm not ready. I did not enjoy that. I think that's trying to be squid, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. All right, here's B.
It's an identical plate with pretty much identical ingredients
Why would you put olives in it?
because it's a delicious Mediterranean salad.
You know Mike and I don't like olives.
Seared squid with some lovely seasonal veg, some tomatoes, some courgette.
We've got to be talking about the squid.
Must be.
I need you to find the frozen, lock in the frozen answer, whichever one you think it is.
And just clarify, we're definitely talking about the squid here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, I'll finish the rest of the plate of the one that I think is frozen.
I mean, this is the danger.
You've both locked in an answer. Remember, I want you to identify which one you think has the frozen squid. Reveal it in 3, 2, 1.
A.
A.
You both think it is A.
I did it with my blindfold on.
What is that?
I did it with my blindfold on.
4.
That doesn't count. He doesn't get a point.
I can reveal that you are both correct.
Good. Because that is one of the most unpleasant things I've tasted in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Really chewy, and it doesn't taste of anything.
No. Yeah, the lovely bite that you get from fresh stuff, if you can get it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just miles apart.
Miles apart in texture, but also price. And we're going to state again, as for all of these, lots of caveats, lots of places you can buy fresh squid, lots of places you can buy a frozen variety. When you buy frozen, typically the majority of frozen squid comes in tubes. You can also get the ones that got the bags with the tentacles in, whereas fresh, you've got the option and there are more variety and you can ask, potentially at a fish counter, how you'd like it prepared. Firstly, frozen squid, all the same things we've mentioned before. Reduces food waste because it's locked in frozen. More convenient because it's already been prepared for you. There's no risk that you're going to have to be messing around with a squid ink bag, making a lot of mess, or having to actually prep it all yourself. And finally, convenience, shelf life. This is a seared salad. Equally, you could throw it into hot rice dishes, stir fries, all sorts. The fresh stuff is twice as expensive. How do you feel about that?
I presumed it was going to be more.
Yeah, I would say that is so overwhelmingly worth double the price. If squid is the dish you're going to do with these two varieties, you either do squid or you don't do squid at all and do a completely different dish.
Yeah.
So both of these have come from Bethnal Green Fish. One is frozen at £6 a kilo. One is fresh at $12.50 a kilo, so just over
So
twice
this
the price.
isn't like a supermarket.
No?
Oh,
Wow.
so it's just frozen. Wow, there's a colossal difference there.
That is massive.
What's interesting is when we were thinking about this before the dish, we thought it might be closer. Sometimes the act of freezing it can begin to break down the tough membrane of what can be quite chewy squid if you prepare it badly. Has to be seared super hot really quick or long, slow braise. Average frozen squid can be better than badly cooked fresh squid.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the challenge you're having here is like, if you know how to cook squid really, really well, fresh is going to be better. It is going to be more expensive. Frozen, you run the risk of it maybe not being as fresh, perhaps more tough, but it might give you a bit more leeway in preparation. Yeah, I would say A is tougher, is more chewy. We were hoping that the freezing might put them on a more level playing field.
For me, squid is one of those ingredients that I only tend to have when I'm next to the sea. I know how temperamental it is and you have to get it right, otherwise it's just like chewing on a rubber tyre.
Yep. Which we always talk about with Pick the Premium is application. If you are using frozen squid, for all the points we've mentioned, especially price, then maybe don't choose to sear it in a cold salad. I think general consensus is fresh is better, even at twice the price in this instance. Should we move on to number 3?
Yes,
Absolutely.
please.
Number 3, there's one for each of you on each plate.
Oh.
And one left for me, one of my favourites. Yeah, you could use your hands for this one.
Oh my goodness, what is that?
Oh, it's a bone.
Have you got a bone?
I've got a bone.
I'm going to bone at the weekend.
Oh, is this a lamb chop or something? A pork chop?
Jay's got the right side of the bone now.
Yummy.
Marine. That's A. It's grilled lamb chop with salsa verde.
Salsa verde. I was going to say it was like a pesto or pesto type thing.
It's yummy.
A what?
Not pesto. There's the pesto and there's a pisto.
Pistu.
That one. Pistu.
Okay, that's nice.
It's very nice. Move on to B. It's exactly the same. It's also a little lamb chop with a salsa verde. Are you noticing a difference?
Oh, not a huge difference.
No, I don't think there is a massive difference.
Is it the lamb?
It's not the lamb.
No,
Oh,
because I can't taste any difference in the lamb. It tastes lammy.
The fact that you didn't even notice the difference the first time and thought it might have been the lamb is interesting, but now you're focusing on the salsa verde.
Is it the herbs we're talking about?
Yes.
And it's parsley?
Yes. Now you've got your answer, Squid, would you take your blindfold off? You're right with parsley. There is also basil and coriander, so there's a mix of green herbs. And with the blindfold off, you can probably see a visual difference.
I've done it wrong.
Find the frozen, turn around your paddle in 3, 2, 1.
A.
B.
First round where you've split opinion. In this instance, the frozen is B. And if you look at the colour, it's lost some of that vibrancy, some of that freshness in the freezing and defrosting. However, on taste, is there much difference, or has the freshness of taste been locked in?
I think B has more flavour, but now tasting them side by side and seeing the visual difference, I'm not sure whether the flavour is parsley. It's almost a little bit more acidic.
No, yeah, a B's got a bitterness.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
it
bitter. It's a bit more, yeah.
at the end, whereas A still feels zingy.
So we've deliberately chosen a dish where obviously you require the herbs to be pounded or blitzed up, because frozen herbs, once they're defrosted, are limp AF. There's very little you can do them in terms of a garnish, but in the right application, in this case in the salsa verde with some sort of acidity and some oil and some good seasoning, does it come together as a still useful, flavourful component?
Yes, I would say.
A lot of the volatile flavour of herbs is locked in, frozen, because the freezing technology now is so much better, but you're still going to lose some of the vibrancy on colour. That said, it's going to last an awful lot longer in your freezer compared to fresh bags of herbs, which we know wilt and discolour incredibly quickly. In fact, salad leaves and fresh herbs are one of the most wasted ingredients
100%.
in the UK. If we talk price, the packaged herbs were 85 pence for 25 grams. Shrinkflation, they used to be 30 gram bags. They've taken 5 grams out, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is 20% of what was there.
Yeah, first they took our chocolate bars, now they're taking our herbs.
I know.
Whereas the frozen come in 50 gram pouches and they're £1.25. So fresh is about 90 pence more per 100 grams.
Yeah.
The frozen is cheaper per 100 grams, but it looks like it's come out the back of a lawnmower. It's locked in the freshness, you've lost some colour. You can really only use it in a place where chopped herbs are required. What are your thoughts?
I use fresh herbs.
We buy fresh herbs, and if I realise that I'm not going to use the rest of the bag goes into the freezer.
What I look for in the herbs are the slight bite, that really fresh flavour, and therefore frozen, albeit I don't think there's a massive difference and it is more convenient, I just wouldn't use it in that application.
Awesome. As with all of these, we want your opinions too. Comment down below on all 4. But we've got one more to do. Boys, blindfolds back on. Last one.
Who's winning?
Jamie, just.
2-1.
Tuck into A. Finger food.
I've got A, I think.
You got A.
There's something on a slice of bread.
Finger food. Oh, that is not finger food.
You can pick up the whole slice of bread.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
What have we given you?
I don't know. I don't know what that is. It's mushy.
It's very mushy.
It's mushy on toast. Try B.
Is it avocado?
It's avocado.
It's avocado.
Avocado on toast. Try the other one. But what about taste, texture?
Well, B tastes like avocado.
B's got avocado on it.
We need to find the frozen, lock in an answer, A or B. Then you can take your blindfolds off. Jamie's is everywhere, but there's some left in the bowl.
I made a bit of a mess.
Hang on.
A does not look like I expected it to.
Neither do I. No.
Reveal what you've scribbled down in 3, 2, 1.
A.
You
A.
both said on taste alone, without sight, you thought A was frozen. Why was that?
It was far more bland. It felt like it needed the zhuzhing up of citrus.
It was
and
mushy
seasoning,
and
it was
slimy.
Yeah, and the texture wasn't as good.
But now, knowing that we can't source good avocados in this country, I'm starting to worry.
The frozen avocado is A.
Yay!
Both
Good.
correct. So I put in front of you because I don't know if you've ever used it before or seen it before. We hadn't until researching for this episode, but there's frozen chunks of avocado and what they look like once they're defrosted. The same conversations we've had in every other episode. Yes, it avoids food waste. Yes, it is more convenient. But when we're talking about avocados, what kind of problems do you come across?
You can't get a good one in the UK.
At certain times of the year,
It's difficult.
without paying a lot of money, a lot of them we end up with are
Brown.
overripe, brown, bruised, not great. And the amount of wastage extrapolates the issue of the fact that they're already very, very environmentally costly to get all the way to the UK. The big shock to us was that they were both prepared at the same time. And B, the fresh one has oxidized and gone brown a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Now, then we went back and checked the packaging. It is 100% avocado. It hasn't got any preservatives in it. So something in the freezing potentially destroys some of the things that
Oxidizable
oxidize.
compounds. Yeah.
Or because they were frozen fresher, they've just got a longer shelf life. But we've prepared avocados countless times. We can do it with our eyes shut. But the point is, you buy a bag of frozen chopped avocado. The skin is already gone. The stone doesn't exist. 100% of what you buy is edible.
Okay.
We did a little experiment. The packed ripe and chopped frozen avocado, a bag of 300 grams, costs £3.50, £11.66 a kilo. The fresh, ripe and ready avocados, 2-pack, £3.50. So actually the same price to buy 2 fresh as it is to buy 300 grams of prepped. But by the time you'd actually taken the skin and the stone out, you're only left with 180 grams of edible avocado, making it almost twice as expensive per kilo of edible flesh. And the frozen avocado, half the price of the fresh.
It's a really difficult one because in its current application, again, I'd lean to, if you're going to do it, you do it that way. But even then, I'm probably not inclined to do it that way because it is a risk in the UK.
Wait until you go to Mexico or California.
Eat a proper one and then you'll
South
be like,
Africa, where there are phenomenal avocados. The other thing worth pointing out with avocado, it's very different to perhaps frozen vegetables in the sense they have a high fat content. And the high fat content is quite stable in a freezer. They behave perfectly fine in a freezer. They don't really lose much of their texture because they're already buttery and soft.
I'm going to be controversial and say I don't think either of them are worth it. That's just my opinion though.
What about you, Jay? At 2 times the price, the fresh ones, yay or nay?
Having tasted them now, I would be tempted to buy a bag of the frozen ones and see if I can get it to taste closer to a fresh one using seasoning. And then I'd be able to give you a full experimented opinion.
Maybe you guys need to try that as well at home. Try all of these things. The comparison is so important because it's all very subjective. You might be able to save money and food waste by using more frozen food. Comment down below if you're going to give it a go.